Hello everyone, it's Joe here and welcome to episode number 13 of the Snake Draft FPL League podcast. In this show, we'll be going through all the key issues in Draft Fantasy Premier League. There'll be a bit about our league, which is hosted by the website Draft Fantasy Football. We use official FPL scoring with the addition of Kante points, which are 1 extra point per every 2 tackles or interceptions. So while we're focused on DFF, what we chat about will also definitely apply to official FPL and Togger style Draft Fantasy as well. We'll also chat through a couple of general football and fantasy topics, such as team and player comparisons. We're starting to ramp up the content to help you win your draft league, so I definitely advise subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you get our tips before anyone else in your league does. Snake Draft FPL is a 12-man head-to-head league, and I'm joined today by 3 of them. I almost got through the intro without messing it up, but there's a couple of little stutters in there. I'll try again next week. First up, the man, the myth, the legend. You may have seen him on the worst episode yet, Game Week 1, with no editing. He's back. He's ready to defend his team and his fantasy knowledge. How are you doing, Connor?
I'm good. I'm back. Big win. Ollie out, which is a shame, but
oh yeah, maybe we'll do a little talk about that in a bit. Nick, you're Mr. Ever Present. How are you? You always fill in when needed.
Yeah, fantastic. I've put George to the sword this week.
Lovely. And last up, Bradley Reese, you were the standby this week, and as always, the standby is always needed.
Yeah.
You weren't even the last one I called upon. I had to get 2 standbys.
No, it's good to be back. Not a good weekend for me in terms of Saints and DFF, but yeah, we'll come on to that in a minute.
We certainly will. I just want to say, I cannot wait for the week where I say to 3 people, do you want to come on? They all say yes, and they all turn up. That is going to be a fantastic day because, yeah, it is very rare. An hour and a half before the show, we all know who's coming on. So, yeah, I look forward to that. Okay, let's have a look at the Game Week 13 review then. Bottom of the pile this week. Back to you, Brad. 37 points is bad, but it's not horrendous. But yeah, you lost to Nate, 52. What was the story of your week?
Yeah, I think in the preview, it was all about what's Salah going to do and his Liverpool boys. Funnily enough, even though it was 4-0, Salah got 1 assist and that was about it. Fabinho with a few Kante points, a clean sheet. So I thought, okay, he might be here for the taking. But no, his double Brighton defence, 9 from Cucurella, 8 from Lamptey, and Rico Henry with a clean sheet as well. No, I think it's one of them, sort of a fair win for Nath, really.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. He fucking loves Cucurella. Like we talked about underrated players this week, and he was messaging me like, "Oh, because he does the thumbnails." He's like, "Please, can we put Cucurella on it?" And I was like, "Wow, he's not even the highest scoring Brighton defender, Dave." So
played well on the FIFA tournament, though, didn't he?
Yeah, I think that's why he loves him. He is a good player, and I was considering it, but yeah, I do like Cucurella, and Lamptey's looking like he's really getting involved now, doesn't he? Okay then, yeah, a bit of a mixed week. Who is up next? It's me. I got 40, lost by 2 points to John, 42 for John. It's very, very disappointing. Yeah, I didn't have a particularly good week, to be honest. Like 40 is not really good enough, but when you lose by 2, it's always disappointing. The main disappointment for me was my defence. Only 1 defender played out of 5, which is absolutely brutal. The mistake I made was keeping Tsimikas because I knew Robertson was going to start. Well, I was pretty sure, but I just subbed him. I didn't get rid, and that decision's probably lost me the game because I probably would have picked up a Brentford defender who kept it clean. So that was a mistake. I mean, the Tottenham game being cancelled probably killed me as well, losing by 2 points, and obviously I had Ben Davis, so you would have thought I probably would have got at least a draw out of that. But these things happen. John just had a John week, really. Dunk, clean sheet, a few Kante points, a Mahrez assist and a Saka goal, and that's enough For John, as per usual, he did have Maddison on his bench with 16 points, which is pretty mad. But you got to play him to get the points, John. So, yeah, not a great week for me, really, but we move on. Next up, Nick, you got 42. Not the best week ever, but when you win, you win.
You only need to beat what's in front of you, and this week it was Jordan Russell. Didn't put up any of a fight. He's claiming that he probably would have beat me if the Spurs had played, but I don't think so. I mean, we all know how shit Spurs are.
And he would have needed 18 points from Reguillon and Son. It's not exactly
So yeah, a poor game week all round, bar like two teams in the league. So Trent got a nice 9, and Emmanuel Dennis, what a player, another double pointer for me. So easy peasy, brushed all the side like it was nothing.
Would you say that Emmanuel Dennis has been your player of the season so far?
Him and Bilver, 100%.
Yeah, that's an unlikely combo, isn't it? They're actually both in our next topic that we're going to come on to, which is pretty interesting, and you've got both of them, so we'll talk about them in a bit more detail.
Did Bilver get picked up in the draft? Because Dennis definitely didn't go in the draft, did he?
No, Nick picked Dennis after game week 1. Bilver, I know John had him and dropped him, but I'm not sure if he drafted him before he picked him out after game week 1.
Okay. Mike had him, I think, didn't he?
I'm not 100% sure. I think he was drafted in about the 13th round or something.
Yeah,
but yeah, he was definitely picked up and dropped by John at some point. Jord had an awful week as well, didn't he? 28. That not breaking the 30 mark is when you know you've had an absolute shocker. He only got out 8 players, I think. He no Reguillon, no Asp, no Ings. Yeah, 8 players, which he almost got to the legendary 7 that Connor managed last week, but we'll skate over that.
Yeah,
it's those 4 Chelsea defenders. He needs to sort that out.
What is he thinking?
I can see it. The Alonso Chilwell combo is good, but I don't know. He just needs to sort out the others.
Yeah, Sarr. I mean,
why has he still got Sarr?
What planet was that?
He's played 8 minutes. No, sorry, he hasn't played 8 minutes. He's played 90 minutes all season. He's still got him.
He's played one game.
Game week 8. So yeah.
And Jord had him for that game, so now he's like, oh yeah, he plays.
He doesn't play. So.
Yeah, mad. Okay, then top of the pile. He only comes on when he's done well. Connor, 45 points. You beat Ben. You were getting absolutely slated for you've been slated for about a month, to be honest, on the pod. We were all talking up Ben's team last week. You put him to the sword. It was easy.
It was easy. I didn't even perform well, really. 45 points is pretty average, isn't it? But you've got to really score more than that if you want to guarantee a win. But I got the win. I don't think Ben got any returns in his team, did he? It seemed like all 4 or 5 pointers.
Few Kante points in his clean sheet.
Yeah.
That's about it, yeah.
Got a clean sheet. Yeah, had a pretty solid week. Robertson finally turned up, got his first double-digit return of the season, I think.
Yeah.
Canate for that Liverpool double in the defence. Picked up Sanchez for Fabianski, which was quite an obvious swap. Fabianski obviously playing City.
Yeah, like
Didn't need him. Picked up Semedo. Got me a clean.
That's
and the rest
of that's really
like
good.
That. Yeah, picking up 2 clean sheets, not easy to do.
Yeah.
And it's your team's got a lot more healthy.
My defence. Yeah, well, I got 9 players out this week.
It really made me funny when Ben said in the group chat, he was like, Connor's been messing around with that same shit team for 2 months, and then he fucking makes 3 changes. They all return when he plays me. That made me laugh.
Yeah, I don't know where Ben's been getting his points from all season. Like, Reece James has played out his skin. Like, what is it, 5 goals, 5 assists or something? He can't keep it up for the rest of the season, can he?
Yeah, he's got
Gallagher
as well.
Is the other main man. Is he really going to keep it up? Is he going to end the season like 300 points?
Probably not.
Can't see it.
Yeah.
So
and then he just picks up a load of Kante points and just medals through to about mid-40s. But
I think he could struggle when James and Gallagher aren't playing out their skin. I don't know who else he's got to rely on.
Yeah, that's what his team kind of comes down to, doesn't it? It's the James, and Gallagher sort of double up and see out. And then everyone else is kind of consistently gets him about 30 points. And then those two combined for the rest.
Yeah.
Which is good when it's good. But when they hit a dip, like you say, you might struggle. Okay. Onto the league table then. Can we just skip this actually?
No, we should definitely start. This is an important one.
Looking at the top, Nath is now 7 points clear at the top. He's nailed on for playoffs, isn't he? There's no way he won't finish at least in the top 4, probably top. I suspect he'll be the one that is top all year and then finishes 4th.
Yeah.
So look forward to that, Nath. Welcome to the league. Then we got a big old scrap, and Jord is getting sucked into it. He's had a shit few weeks. His team is on the slide, and he's getting sucked in. He was about 8 points clear of 3rd and 4th. And now he's on 24, John 22, Nick 21, Dave 21, Ben 18, Brad 18, Boar 18, Connor 18, Mac 16, and then it's me on 15 in 11th place. It's very depressing. Yeah, it's very depressing.
Yeah. Just say, so how many times you won the league?
3. Yeah,
right, okay.
3 out of 6.
Yeah.
But none in the 3 in a row, and then 3. I've made the playoffs every year.
Yeah, it has been.
This year might be a struggle, although I still think my team's good. But the thing I'm not too worried about the league table. What I always try and focus on, every year that I'm not in the top 4 yet, I always think, what's the distance between 4th place and where I am? And it's only 6 points. I mean, that's nothing, is it? 2 wins, that's nothing. So I'm not worried yet. Once that gets to about 12 points, that's when you start getting cut adrift. Speaking of cut adrift, Mike still down the bottom of the league, 10 points. He's rooted to the bottom. He had a good week as well, 53 points, but he played Boar, who had a banger on 60, and Mike is in serious trouble. When you're right down the, cut adrift at the bottom, you need to be picking up wins when you finally have a good week. And I think
everyone around Mike picked up points as well this week, didn't they? Me, Matt,
exactly.
Boar, pulling away.
Yeah, he's in trouble. And the question is only really who's going to be in there with the Sacco Bowl with him, because there's a lot of candidates at the moment. My money's on Mac, but my money's always on Mac. Okay, that's enough of that. Let's quickly skate over that and move on. Right, the sort of conversation topic this week, we are looking at surprising players that sort of sprang up out of nowhere. And we're just going to kind of talk about what, obviously they've all done well, so that's a given, but what do they need to do to sort of be pushed into the next tier of players, next tier of picks that we talk about, and how long do they have to keep it up, or are they there already? So we'll start with Gallagher of Palace. Obviously a fantastic season so far. He is currently on, in our league, 87 points with Kante points, which through 13 games is pretty impressive. I'll start with Brad. Brad, if the draft for next season was tomorrow, what sort of round would you expect him to go in? And what does he need to do for the rest of this season to sort of, go up in that tier?
Yeah, what round? That's a good question. Maybe, sort of 3rd round in our 12-man league.
Yeah,
the thing is, he's got a lot of points. I'm just looking at it now, but they sort of come in little bursts. He gets sort of 15 or 16 points one week, and then the next week. I'm just looking at it now. Game week 10, 16 against me, funnily enough. Game week 11, 14. And then, but before all that, it was sort of 2, 4, 3, 5, 2. And then game week 4, he had 10. So I just think consistency, if he's getting a goal or a goal and assist every week or every other week at least, he'd be a bit more sort of appealing.
Yeah.
I know, obviously, it's good to have him to win you the game, but he might do nothing. So, all right, Palace are one of these teams where they're not going to be winning and scoring lots of goals all the time. But yeah, I just think he just needs a bit more consistency.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's one of those players. that kind of facilitates the like boom or bust kind of teams that have great weeks and shit weeks. And really, in head to head, you want to be one of those consistent sort of tick along kind of players. Connor, you're shaking your head a bit during that. You don't think third round? You wouldn't draft him in the third round? You think he's a bit lower down than that?
Nah, not third round. I think he's done really well. He was on the waiver wires for a while, and we could all see him there, like sitting towards the top. And I don't think anyone really thought he was going to continue his form. But Ben's done well. We picked him up. Obviously, he's got quite a few points out of him. But for me, I don't think it goes much further than this.
Yeah,
I think.
Okay, that's fair.
Next year, I think he will be in the draft. But this year, he obviously wasn't even drafted. But someone will take him. But I don't think third round, below the fifth round. I think.
Okay, fair enough.
I predict Ben will take him in the draft next year.
Yeah.
Ben's loyal.
Yeah.
Ben is loyal. Do you kind of concur with that, Nick? Do you think sort of fifth round, it's a bit too inconsistent for you?
He's too inconsistent. He's the type of player you'd take in the later rounds as a punt. I kind of fell for a bit of a trap, similar kind of player. So Mount last year was unreal, like just shy of 200 points over the whole year, and I picked him up like first pick. And he's like, apart from the 21 point return that he got a few weeks back, he has hardly played. So obviously Mount plays for Chelsea, so it's not a direct comparison, but it's easy to fall into traps where a player does well 1 year, and then you can fall into trap because you think they're going to do consistently where they just don't.
I find especially centre mids have fall in this category, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but like proper number 8 central midfielders seem to be the biggest like trap picks.
Yeah,
I don't know. I guess it's a system. Maybe it's a system thing where it only needs a slight tweak to the system, and all of a sudden they're playing much deeper and they don't get in the box as much. But I often find there's centre mids that do really well, score a ton of points, and then the next season it's just. I mean, Souček this year, I think is kind of in that camp. Last year, brilliant all season, goals, Kante points, assists. He's always in the box. This year, I mean, has he got a goal or an assist yet this year? I'm not sure if he has. He's just not been. I think it's just been maybe one goal against Brentford.
One goal
I think.
and
Or
one
no,
assist.
an assist against Brentford. I think that's about it. Yeah, one goal and assist.
Yeah,
which isn't really like. I mean, this time last year he was on about 5 goals, and I think centre mids are because the positioning matters so much. About if they're that late runner, then great. And then it only takes a little tweak, and all of a sudden they're just not in the box anymore. But yeah, that's my thing with Gallagher. I just hope that for him to continue this form or even improve and become a bit more consistent in fantasy terms, I think he needs to still be that more attacking of the 3 in midfield, and it only takes a little tweak for him to not be doing that anymore. So yeah, I think
if you wanted to get Gallagher off. And who would you be willing to offer? Like, I don't think I'd be willing to offer any decent names, really.
No. Yeah, I
still don't trust him enough.
No. I mean, I'd probably do Mbumo for Gallagher, to be honest, but I don't really want to talk about Mbumo if we don't have to. I'm absolutely sick to death of talking about him, hearing about him, seeing his little face. So, yeah, I'll just skate on from that. But yeah, I know what you mean. He's the kind of player you think, like, look, he's got all these points, but past points don't. What is that I normally say? I can't even remember. My brain's gone.
Past points don't predict future points. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, very true. Okay, let's move on to the next one then. I think that sort of rounds that off. And this one I think has moved up a tier. I mean, Gallagher's moved up a tier from absolutely nowhere to like in our thoughts at least. But Bernardo Silva, very, very surprising. Like you said, we're not even sure if he was drafted. He was either drafted late or he was definitely off the waivers at the start of the season. It looked like he was going to leave the club. And then, he's had his contract it's not done yet, but it looks more promising. His personal issues have been ironed out. And he's playing every week and he looks great. And I think going on his recent form, you'd think sort of top 20 pick easily. maybe even top 10, top 15, top 10. So let's start with the City man himself, Nick. Bernardo Silva, if the draft was tomorrow, do you think he'd be in the first round?
If I was last pick again, I would pick him first pick of the second round.
Okay. So around the sort of 10 to 15 mark.
Yeah, I would, like, going off like how he's performed so far, if we were doing a redraft, he'd be 100% be my second pick.
Okay.
If I was last, so yeah.
And do you, like, obviously the big problem was always there was kind of two problems with Bernardo Silva. One, he never really got in the box, and two, he never had consistent minutes. At the moment, he's doing both of those things: consistent minutes, and he's always in the box.
Yeah.
Do you think both of those are going to continue? And like, if not, like, which one do you think's less likely to carry on?
He's Pep's man now, isn't he? Like, he started all of the last 7 games. Played 90 minutes in all of them. Started the last Champions League game as well. The only thing the issue would be amount of minutes he's played, where he might be rested, but he'll still be getting in the box. Obviously, sitting with a strikerless formation, he's the kind of player to come around the back. If a ball's whipped in, he'd be like at the far post to head it in, just like he did against United.
Yeah,
when we dominated United at Old Trafford this season. Ollie in, yeah, bring him back.
Okay. Yeah, I think I kind of agree with that. Connor, if I asked you the same question, do you think he's, top 15, top 10, and do you think that he'll carry on, with the minutes and with the sort of chances and shots in the box and that?
I do, yeah. I think probably 15, not top 10. I don't think anyone wants him as their star man.
Yeah,
but definitely as your second pick, I think.
Fuck's sake.
Yeah, I think he's nailed on. Take it off. He's nailed on for minutes and stuff. Whether the goals keep coming or not, I'm not sure. But yeah, if you've got a City player that's starting the majority of the time, yeah, they're going to perform. They're going to get points.
And that's one of the sort of keys to success, really, I think, in draft fantasy. If you've got a City boy that's starting every week, you're in the money. Brad, do you concur with these two, top 15, and do you think he'll keep it up?
Yeah. There's not much more I can add, to be honest. Just looking at our draft from this year, I picked Sterling first. Mike went for Grealish. So my point is, is he definitely going to be that nailed-on starter again next year? I think he will. But it's one of them. Who knows with Pep and City? But yeah, I think he'll carry on and he'll be a good player for Nick this year. Yeah,
agreed. I think sometimes you can't overcomplicate it, and you just got to look at it and say he's the best performer in that team at the moment, so he's going to play. And okay, with the Mahrezes of the world and stuff like that, you kind of have to play the game. But when you've got the guy, you don't worry about it, and he just carries on. I do think sort of in between seasons, it gets trickier. Even if he carries this run on to the end of the season, sometimes at the start of the next season, for sort of no apparent reason, Pep's favourite man is just different. And because, it wasn't Bernardo Silva at the start of the season. I mean, at the end of last season, sorry. And it is very hard to predict at the draft who that man's going to be for the next season. I mean, as we showed, I don't know if any of us even picked him. So, yeah, I would, long term, you would advise caution. But I think, like you say, he's not your star man, but he's the perfect second fiddle player in your team. So, yeah, definitely doing great. Next up, Nick's team again. Nick's whole team is surprising. We all thought he was going to be down there, so no wonder 2 of his players are on here.
I had faith.
You love this guy, Emmanuel Dennis. What a player! Kind of. I'm not even sure if he's good. I've only watched a few full Watford games, but I've watched a lot of highlights, and still now I'm like, is he good? I'm not convinced he is, but who gives a fuck when they're scoring the amount of fantasy points he's scoring? I'll start with you, Connor. Obviously, this has come absolutely out of nowhere. We didn't even know this guy was going to start at the start of the season for Watford. Do you think he'll be like in that sort of mid-tier forwards by the end of the season? You know, like the Watkins of the world? Or do you think he'll stay below that?
If they're in the league next year, they might not be. But,
they may well not be, yeah.
Yeah, I think, he's a mid-tier forward. Looking at his points now, he didn't do anything until game week 9, really. He got 1 return in game week 5. So, yeah, he seems to hit some form and he's really running with it. I don't know. It's hard to judge him because, like I said, he didn't really do anything until like game week 9, instead of game week 13. It's been like a short period.
Yeah. See
what he does in the next 10 sort of game weeks and that, and you can make a better judgment.
How would you compare him to? So you've got Mopé. Would you rather have Mopé or would you do that trade?
Don't know.
Do you think that's close?
Yeah,
do you think that's pretty close?
Fairly similar,
yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I'd rank him, I think, at the moment, in that kind of Mopé, St. Max sort of ballpark. Brad, what do you think? Are you kind of on the same wavelength? Do you think, or do you think he'll?
Yeah, I think he's not quite there yet, to be honest. I know he's had a good little run, but Watford, I just think Watford will struggle this year. And he will get a few goals, but I think he'll be a sort of who can I compare him to? I don't know, maybe like one of the Saints strikers.
Yeah,
just not quite
like that.
Yeah, it's not quite that sort of mid Mopé, Watkins and that. But you know, he's good to have. He's a good sort of second choice striker if you want in a big league. I've just seen he's got a knock, Nick.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I think he's going to be okay. He's going to be okay.
They're playing Chelsea though, so I mean,
the thing is, what works against them is the midweek, obviously fixtures is quite close. But I think it's more of an impact thing, so it shouldn't be a big problem. I wouldn't have thought. Nick, so he's you've had him. He's basically your best striker because Rom's been fucked all season. How do you feel about him? What kind of offer would you realistically look and consider accepting for him at the moment?
Maybe if like a Watkins or a Danny Ings, maybe.
Okay.
But I wouldn't trade him now in his current form. And I don't feel I would be able to get an upgrade off him. I wouldn't think anybody would snap. So I wouldn't trade him. Like a Watkins, I would seriously consider. But apart from that, I probably I'd keep him. I just feel like he's hit a bit of form.
You never want to get rid of someone when they're in that hot streak.
Yeah,
like it's really hard to trade away someone that's in the hot streak. That's fair enough. And I know what you mean when you say like I don't think you'd get an offer worth taking for him.
No.
Some players are just like that, aren't they? When they're in this hot streak, everyone sees them doing well, but no one really wants to take that punt on them. Yeah. So yeah, I kind of get what you're saying there. I'd agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, you thought he was going to be dropped when João Pedro came back, but
I did.
You saw off the competition.
He's kind of held him at an arm's length, really. One thing I think he's going to AFCON, isn't he? So
yeah,
when that comes around, Nick, do you think you'll keep hold of him? Or do you think you'll send him to the waivers? Because it's like it's a fine line when you've got players going to AFCON and they're, it could be 3 weeks, could be 5 weeks, could be 2 weeks.
Yeah.
How good of a player do you keep and how, what kind of player do you drop? Do you think he's good enough to hold on over that period, or would you?
Because there's slim pickings for strikers, isn't there? So I wouldn't get. There's no one out there who's the same availability or same like skill level as he is, and I really don't want to make my strike force any weaker than it already is.
What, you don't love Christian Benteke?
Benteke is, and Lukaku's been absolute horse shite. So
fair enough. Okay. I find that we're going to do maybe in a couple of weeks, sort of mid-December. I'm going to go get up all the AFCON players and do like a who would you keep and who would you drop, because I think that's quite interesting, because it's really difficult. It's like when the player gets like a 6-week injury, like how good of a player do you keep for that period? I think that's quite interesting. So we'll look at that in a bit more detail in a few weeks' time when it gets closer. But okay, let's move on to the next one then. Last one up this week is Livramento. At the start of the season, I mean, Livramento's pretty widely recognised in the FPL Twitter community as a 4 million defender. Everyone basically has him because he's stupid not to in that format. At the start of the season, we weren't really convinced he was going to play. It was like he's going to be second fiddle to KWP probably, but the position's his own now. He's definitely first choice, easily the best fullback at Southampton. I'll start with Brad, Saints fan. Got to come to you first. Like how just as a player, how good do you think he is?
Yeah, really good. I think he's going to go right to the top.
Right to the very top.
Yeah, I think, like you said, KWP was good last season, and he sort of came in for 4 or 5 million, whatever it was, and everyone thought, okay, good, talented young player, good to have a backup for Walker Peters. But no, started the first game, and well, he started every game since, I think. So yeah, just looks a real talent, and just him and Salisu, I think, have both improved the defence. Vestergaard and Bertrand went, and you sort of think, oh, is it going to get any worse? But no, it's actually helped him coming in, and then Walker Peters has been playing left back as well, so there's just a bit more sort of depth in the fullback areas now.
Yeah,
but yeah,
well, how like he's very attacking. I mean, his attacking numbers are pretty fucking good, to be honest. Like as far as fullbacks go, he's very aggressive. Do you think he's in the sort of Cresswell kind of sort of tier of defenders, you know, like maybe a third choice in your team, or do you think he's got potential to be even better than that?
No, because Saints' actual defence isn't very good, to be honest. I know they kept some clean sheets, sort of 4 or 5 in a row, whatever it was recently. But he does get forward. I don't know if he's got many assists yet.
He's done all right for a fullback. Right. He's done pretty well on that
goal
on that front.
Yeah, I don't think he's quite sort of Cresswell. It could be. Things could all change, and Saints, you know, they could get all steady and keep these clean sheets, and he could be bombing forward, getting assists. But
yeah,
the strikers don't help him for that. You know, he puts his balls in, and no one's on the end of them. Yeah.
No, that's fair. I mean, he's got a goal and an assist through 13 games, which is okay. I mean, that's not bad. He's had a lot of chances, though. I mean, it could have been much better than that. I'll come to you next, Connor. What do you think about Livramento? Do you think he's going to be up there with sort of the second-rate defenders, or do you think it's just all comes down to Saints not really having a good enough at keeping it tight enough?
Yeah, I think he is second-rate defenders. I don't know. I could, if they had bad fixtures coming up in my squad, I wouldn't be worried about dropping him, but I would drop him.
Okay.
Like, I don't think he's irreplaceable. Looking at players that are around him now, and there's like Duncan, Mings, and people like that getting like similar sort of points to him. So I think he's doing really well. He's obviously young. No one even like really knew who he was at the beginning of the season. Been a good player to have on your side so far, but yeah, he's not irreplaceable, is he?
No, that's kind of like. Would you like Nick? I'll come on to you. Like, would you be worried about dropping him if Saints had a bad fixture, or would you want to like protect him and hide him on your bench?
I don't know. And the thing is, I don't watch the Saints games, and Brad raves about him a lot. So I would probably keep him on my bench. Yeah, I think if there's a few Saints players you want, and he's probably one of them.
Yeah,
up there.
Agreed.
Because he's played all the 90 minutes since the start of the season. So, and he's pretty attacking and technical. So,
Yeah. I think the difference is, so I had Salisu for a few weeks, few clean sheets, and I dropped him instantly. Didn't even think twice about it. Because he doesn't have that attacking threat, really. I mean, yes, okay, he could score a header from a corner or something, but he's not attacking, really. Whereas Livramento, I would think twice about it just because of that extra threat. But would I drop him for a bad fixture? If I was like, I've got a lot of bad fixtures this week, I probably would still drop him to pick someone else up. So I guess that kind of shows that, like, for instance, Tierney, if he's got a bad fixture, I wouldn't drop him. So he's obviously not in that kind of level of defender. But I definitely think he's one to look out for. Do you think he'll stay at Saints, Brad, or do you like how? And did Chelsea have some kind of agreement?
They got the buyback clause, haven't they? I don't know how much it is, but I reckon we might get another season out of him, and then it'll be a proper sort of, big bids will be flying in for him. But the thing that's benefits Saints is Reece James. Would he want to go back and be second fiddle to it?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he's not going to... He's brilliant. I think Livermento's really good. But Reece James is probably... I mean, he's easily top 3 in the world. A lot would argue the best in the world. So that is a good point. And it might do sort of Chelsea good to just let him stay at Saints for a couple more years and really establish himself before they kind of pull in the money for him. So, yeah, that kind of makes sense to me. Right. Okay, then let's box that off. Let's just do a couple would you rathers. We'll do these semi-quickly, although they always take longer than I think they're going to. But these ones, I don't know. I fear these ones might be a bit one-sided, but we'll see. First up is the male model himself, ex-footballer Dominic Calvert-Lewin versus Gabriel Jesus. I say that because every time we see pictures of him in Vogue or on Monday Night Football, John just seems to get more and more irate in the group chat. So calling him an ex-footballer and all this. So that's quite amusing. So Dominic Calvert-Lewin versus Gabriel Jesus. Obviously, one has more, I would say Calvert-Lewin was definitely more favoured going into the season by miles. He's now got this injury. We're not really sure when he's going to be back, maybe in a couple of weeks. Jesus, on the other hand, was kind of not really in the conversation, but now he's playing reasonably consistently on the right-hand side and doing pretty well, getting some returns. So I think at the start of the season, they were far apart, and now they're probably a bit closer together. So I'll start with you, Connor. Who would you rather have, and who do you think will score more points?
I'd rather have Jesus this season. Like you said, going into the season, Calvert-Lewin all day long. But now, Jesus, he's been a little bit hot and cold. Like, he's that sort of player that either gives you 12-point returns or 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But Calvert-Lewin is cold. There is no hot. He doesn't play. He's doing man-boggling. Like, I like that. Yeah, I wouldn't have any interest in him.
Okay.
Yeah,
fair enough
for me.
I like that. Brad, I come to you. Similar, or would you be interested in the long-term wait and see approach?
Yeah, similar. I think Everton are in trouble at the minute. I think there's all this talk of they got these big players out injured, but Decore came back. They still lost 1-0 to Brentford, and I just I can't see Calvert-Lewin magically sort of making them good again.
He's not the kind of player that transforms how a team plays, is he?
No.
If they were playing well but not scoring, you'd say Calvert-Lewin will change this. Yeah. But they're not playing well.
Yeah, so I don't know when he's back. Is he back this week?
Maybe, probably another week. Probably another week, to be honest.
Yeah.
I reckon maybe next weekend or the weekend after.
Yeah, so Jesus, because to be fair, everyone thinks, is he going to play that much? But he's been getting his minutes, and as you say, he's been doing all right. So, yeah, I think that's quite an easy one for me.
Okay, Nick, I'm assuming you're going to say the same thing, but take it away. What do you think?
Jesus, any day of the week, really. I think he's actually a bit of an unsung hero for the City squad. He plays a decent amount of minutes, and he's kind of found a bit of a home out on the right hand side of this new sort of strikers formation they play.
Yeah.
And I feel he sets the bar for any City player that wants to get into the squad in that position. They have to be better than him. And even though he doesn't set the world alight, 2 goals and 5 assists this season is still a pretty decent return. And he's never been an out-and-out goal scorer. Yeah, he's not ever been an out-and-out goal scorer. And obviously, in the City squad, there's always a chance for a big haul return where Calvert-Lewin's never probably going to get, maybe he'll get 2 goals every now and then, but Jesus could quite easily get 2 assists in a goal or 2 goals and assists in a game more often than an Everton player.
Fair enough. I think this is a classic long-term versus short-term. Well, is it? Maybe not. I'm trying to. I was looking at this, thinking, is there a way I can frame this? Because I figured that the 3 of you would say Jesus, and I think I'd pick Jesus as well, to be honest. But I thought, how can I play devil's advocate to kind of frame Calvert-Lewin as like this wait and see pick? The problem is, I have a real issue with players that go out injured. Okay, fine. They're going to be back on this date. Then they have a complication. Then they have a complication. Then they have a complication. And it just kind of, he's always going to be back next week. And that really, it doesn't spell a positive experience for your fantasy team. I always find, like, even when he comes back, will he stay fit? I mean, Brad, you basically had this exact thing with Aguero last year. He was always 1 week from coming back and he just never really turned up.
Or he'll come back for 1 week and, as you say, just get injured again or whatever. I don't know. He's not exactly a superstar either, is he, Calvert-Lewin?
No. I just think it's very risky, Calvert-Lewin, at the moment. And I do think if he comes back next weekend and he's fully fit and he's really got over this problem that he's had, I think there's a big chance he will outscore Jesus for the rest of the season, to be honest, because he is their goal threat, really. I mean, he was doing well before he got injured. He did well last year. And I think Rafa kind of plays to his strengths as well. He likes to get the ball in the box and from wide areas, and we know how good Calvert-Lewin is in the air. I do think it's a risk. That's the thing. But I think if you can get Calvert-Lewin for like a shit striker from someone that's sick of him, I don't think it's that bad of a gamble, because he's probably going to come back and be fine and play for the second half of the season and do well. The thing that Jesus has gone off the boil a little bit, maybe off the boil's harsh. He's not getting the hauls that he did at the start of the season. But, he is getting the minutes, and that's all you really need in the City side to pick up returns. If you're playing in the front 3, like the returns just kind of come. The other good thing about Jesus is it seems like he starts or he doesn't come on. He hasn't had a one. He's had one 1-pointer this season. That was in game week 1. Since he started game week 2 onwards, he's not come off the bench a single time, which is lovely, because if you've got that City player and you're starting, there's nothing worse than fucking Mahrez in the 93rd minute waltzing onto the pitch. You think, fucking hell, there goes my sub. So I do quite like that about Jesus. But yeah, I think it's Jesus for me all day. It's hard to sort of go for Calvert-Lewin. Okay, on the next one then, Benrahma versus Trossard. This is kind of a flipped one as well, because I think that, 3 or 4 weeks in, you'd say, well, it's no question it's Benrahma. But he's kind of gone off the boil. Trossard's been tipping, kind of ticking along, getting points here and there. So go to you first, Connor. Trossard versus Benrahma. What do you think?
Just looking at Benrahma's points here, and he got 40 points in the first 5 game weeks. And then since then, in the last 8 game weeks, or how many it's been, he's 26. So
big drop off.
I think his just looking at his total points could trick you a bit. Like, I don't know, I like a man in form, whereas Trossard hasn't really been a man in form all season. He's still got a similar amount of points. He's just consistent.
Yeah.
For that reason, I'd probably choose Trossard. But then, I don't know, I'd probably say Benrahma has got the potential to score more in that West Ham team.
Mm.
But I think
Brighton don't
Trossard's
really get a lot of goals, do they? They create chances and play nice football, but then fucking awful in the box. Like, so unclinical.
Yeah, I didn't even realise Trossard was on the amount of points he was on, to be honest. So
I know. He's actually having quietly a very good season. That's why I think Benrahma's taken like a lot of headlines, especially at the start of the season, and then kind of dropped off, whereas Trossard has just gone under the radar as just a pretty good pick all year. Brad, I'll go on to you next. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I think Trossard, he was sort of playing almost as a striker for a lot of weeks. Lopez was out. Benrahma, I think, though, he's still the most sort of attacking threat out of that three behind Antonio.
Yeah.
But it just so happens that Antonio and Benrahma have been sort of off the boil in terms of points lately. I don't know. I think if you were to offer me one of them now for my team, I'd choose Trossard. But just because I've got the other West Ham boys, I think, ignoring that, maybe Benrahma just because of West Ham versus Brighton. Brighton haven't actually won a game since about September, game week 5.
They've just been struggling in front of goal, haven't they? I mean, it's almost as if in the summer, every fucking person on the planet was saying Brighton need a striker. They were linked with Edouard. He's gone to Palace, and Brighton still have Mopé whiffing chances in the 6-yard box. I see that. Nick, what do you think on this? You love Trossard, don't you?
Yeah, he's just like I want to say, just reliable player. If it's a Monday night game and it's Brighton versus someone, I know Trossard's going to start, and he's at least going to pick up the odd Kante point if it's really close, or he's going to and if Brighton score, he's either going to score it or assist it generally.
Yeah,
he goes flown under the radar a bit. Benrahma I think he was quite inconsistent last season as well.
Yeah,
and that's kind of that's followed through to this season. Started off well and then kind of dropped off. So I would stick with Trossard.
Yeah, it's Trossard for me as well. I think I'm a sucker for someone playing up front as a mid or even a false 9, and Trossard does have that kind of capability. He plays anywhere across the front three, really. I just think he's really fucking good. Like, I just think he's technically very good. And I think if Brighton had a consistent goal scorer, Trossard would be a fantastic pick. I think he's really let down by Mopé and Lacadia or whatever.
The cheat is not a good striker, is he? It's like the amount of chances he missed last game was appalling.
So, for me, I like Trossard. I think he's a good pick. I also think, I don't know, Benrahma just strikes me as sort of an all fart, no poo kind of player. Like, he gives me Dusan Tadic vibes, honestly. And I love Tadic. I thought he's a really good player, like technically brilliant. But you have him in your fantasy team and you're like, well, look at all this stuff he's doing. 2 points. Look at this. He's like great, turns, lovely through ball, 2 points. Yeah. And Benrahma at the start of the season, he was absolutely on fire. But yeah, he's just kind of reverted to a 2-point man. And West Ham have got a lot of European commitments. They're through in the League Cup. Like, I don't know. He's going to AFCON, I assume, as well, Benrahma. I'm assuming Algeria qualified, so that's a bit of a hit for him as well. So yeah, it's Trossard for me. I think he's just more consistent, and consistency is like something I think people underrate. Like when you go back and look at, this player scored 10 goals and this player scored 10 goals. I think spreading them out is invaluable, to be honest, because it means you get like a decent score every week as opposed to going 70-30. Okay, then last one is Diaz versus Reguillon. I'm not sure if this is even a good one to put on there because I think everyone's going to say the same thing, but we'll see. I do have a decent devil's advocate for this one, so let's start with the obvious one. Nick, tell us why you'd rather have Diaz.
Spurs are shit. City are good. Do I need to say more? Diaz is arguably the best defender in the league, and he's the best defender at City.
Okay. Yeah, that's it. Okay, fair enough. Connor, same logic, same reasoning. Anything else to say?
Yeah, I'm sold on that. Yeah, yes, all day long. I have no interest in Conte's for Spurs.
Yeah.
You hate Conte.
Yeah, Mr. Negative Football. Diaz.
Okay, Brad, same.
Yeah, obviously I've got Diaz, and as Nick says, City's defence is just so good. You know, you'd be surprised if they didn't keep a clean sheet. I think we talked about it last week. Only sort of Liverpool, Chelsea, those sort of teams you'd worry. Yeah, easy. The only thing, Reguillon, he gets forward now in this system and could get a few attacking returns, but yeah, their defence just hasn't really improved. I think they got a clean sheet in his first game, but yeah, I think it's the defence of City just outweighs it.
I will say, I would also take Diaz just for the consistency. But what I will say is Spurs have been so bad, like really bad. They've been terrible. City have been amazing. Probably the best defensive start to a season ever. Their underlying numbers are incredible. Diaz has played all the games bar one, I think. Maybe bar two. He's missed 2 games. Oh, no, he's played every game. Apart from one. Yes, he's missed 1 game. And he's on 50 points. And Diaz is on 51 points and Reguillon's on 50. And you've got to think Spurs are going to improve. I don't think they'll be brilliant, but I think defensively they'll improve. And I can't see how City can improve, really, because this is probably the best. Like I said, I think they're the best. So far this season, it's the best defensive display we've ever seen. Maybe Mourinho's Chelsea can run that close like the first time. But I think they're incredible defensively. And there's only 1 point in it, right? And that kind of leads me to think, why? Like, why is Reguillon close to him and they've been so bad? I mean, obviously he's got, I think, a goal and 2 assists, which bumps it up. Maybe 2 goals and 1 assist, which is massive. But he's playing wing back for a manager that's historically had probably the most attacking wing backs in history. And he's good going forward, Reguillon. Like, I don't think he's a great defender, but he is good going forward. I think this is actually closer than it looks. And the other problem with Diaz, okay, he doesn't attack, and that's fine because he plays every week and they get so many clean sheets. But he also struggles for bonus because the attackers do so well that they often scoop up bonus. He's also got Cancelo next to him. He's an absolute bonus magnet. So even if they only win 1-0 or 2-0, Cancelo is almost always ahead of him on bonus. So that means he struggles in that regard. So really, you are absolutely banking on clean sheets. Like, that is how he's getting his points. And there's something really, I don't know. I hate it when the only way you get points is clean sheets, because you just watch the match like behind a pillow, because you think any like tiny little mistake and there goes basically all your chances at points.
Yeah.
Lanzini 94th minute goal.
Exactly that, Brad. Right. Like, it just, these things happen all the time.
I do have a counterpoint to what you're saying.
Yeah, go on.
It's the consistency, isn't it? Like, Spurs could concede quite easily and Reguillon get no points. And then the next points, they're supposed to keep it clean and he'd get 12 points. But if you're winning by such an amount, it's pointless. So if you're consistently getting points week in, week out, which you would from Diaz, he's a better pick.
Yeah.
Just because he's equal on points doesn't mean it's an equal pick. That's not.
Yeah, I completely agree. And that is why ultimately I would pick Diaz. Like, if the 2 were offered me, I'd pick Diaz, and it is for the consistency. But I would, if I had to put money on it, I think Reguillon will score more points this season. I mean, they're 1 point in it now. I think Reguillon will outscore him by the end of the season. And points is it? But it's not just about total points, is it? That's like especially in head to head, in like classic leagues or whatever, where there's no you just play for overall score. It's a different ball game, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we're looking for consistency really in head to head, and Diaz does favour him in that way. But I just wanted to I don't know. I was surprised. Basically, I was really surprised that they were on the same points. Basically, when I looked through the list, I thought that Diaz would be way clear of him. But yeah, it's closer than I thought it was. Okay, that is all the player comparisons for this week. How are we doing on time? Not too bad. Right. We'll kind of do a quick preview because the games will probably have been started by the time most people listen to this. So it's not too important. But there's a couple of games that are quite interesting that we'll talk about quickly. So game week 14, the midweek game week. I love midweek game weeks. Fucking quality, especially on Amazon Prime. You can get them all up. Lovely.
Is it on
First game I want to have a little look at is the Antrebro Derby. Ben versus Mike. A fixture we all look forward to, I think, in the league, just because it's funny, them playing each other. The teams are bad, as usual. This is never a top-of-the-table clash, really, is it? But Mike always claims that Ben always beats him. But I actually quite like the look of Mike's team this week. Brad, I'll go to you first. Have you got the teams in front of you?
Yeah, I was just opening up as well. Yeah, I think he's got some quite good fixtures, isn't he, Mike?
Yeah,
I can see Liverpool doing some damage to Everton. So Jota should get us a few points. City rotation though, obviously he's going to rotate during the week. This is the worry for my game as well. But yeah. Jesus, is he going to play? Foden, is he back? I think he was injured.
Yeah, I think he probably will be back, but we're not really sure.
I quite like Dan James at home to Palace.
So do I. I picked him in my fucking waiver video, and he's got him on the bench. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Surely, but I think he'll probably come on because Mike's team. Mike never gets his first 11 out, does he? So
no, and obviously it's Chelsea boys away to Watford. I think that'll be a clean sheet. Let me just look at Ben's team. If I can find it.
Ben's team
is not good.
It's not good, yeah.
I was going to say, Connor, do you want to take it away on Ben's team? What do you think? Do you think he's...
Yeah. Well, he's got Reece James versus Watford, which is his one man. So half of his points are going to come from there. So yeah, he could easily get 10 points, 12 points from Reece James, but the rest of the team's just trash. Like Duffy and Basuma against West Ham. Like, what the chances are going to get there? A couple of Kante points, maybe. Yeah, Allen versus Liverpool.
I will say this is pre-waivers, so he may make some waiver pickups.
Yeah,
maybe.
Possibly.
I mean, we'll see if he does or not. But yeah,
I think one player that could do well for him could be Iheanacho. He's got him on the bench against Southampton. The old man Vardy, is he still going to do 90 minutes every 3 days and stuff?
That's true. Yeah, midweek fixture. We may well see a bit of rotation. I could see Iheanacho getting some minutes there. Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, every week I look at Mike's team and think he's going to win, but you don't factor in how many of his players just don't start, and that makes like a big difference. And Mike always claims Ben always beats him, so we'll see how that pans out this week. Next up, I've got the delights of playing Mr. Jordan Russell this week, and I made a trade. We forgot to talk about it. I had Sancho traded in with Boer for Havertz. I think I got a pretty good deal out of that. What do you boys think? Nick, what do you think about that?
I like the look of Sancho from the game against Chelsea. I think it's a good trade for you, Joe. I'd have taken that if I was you.
It came through and I thought about it and thought, I'm not sure actually. I mean, he scored in the Champions League. He scored again today. And then after like 5 minutes, I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Just accept it. I just had this thing. I was like, why have I not accepted this yet? Connor, what do you think about that? Would you have taken that if you had Sancho? You're a United fan.
Personally, I would take Havertz in my team, but that's only because I'm so United heavy in my team. I do think Sancho's going to kick on a bit now. I don't think he's going to be a world
I think he'll
beater,
do better. That's why I was hesitant, because I think he's going to improve.
But Havertz, he's got Watford this week, so straight into a great fixture for you.
Yeah, I
think I'll take Havertz in my team.
Brad, do you agree? You were saying about how bad Sancho's performance was.
Yeah, I thought he obviously got that breakaway goal, but other than that, didn't look great. But on the other side, is Havertz a nailed-on starter?
Probably not. And Lukaku's back. That was what kind of was in my head.
But in your team, he's sort of your last choice midfielder, I suppose.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's quite a fair trade, actually, I'd say.
Okay, fair enough. So I've got, like we said, I've got Havertz away to Watford this week. I've got a benching headache, to be honest, in the midfield. I really don't know who to play. The thing is, I'm not convinced De Bruyne will come back into the side after his COVID absence. I don't even know if he's finished isolating yet. So he's gone down to a yellow flag, which I don't really trust, but I have to wait for Ben Dinnery to report on the press conferences for that. But Højbjerg, for me, plays every week. Kante points, he's a menace. Mane obviously plays every week. Then I've got Havertz, who's away to Watford, who I feel like I have to start. Just brought him in with probably the best attacking fixture, bar Newcastle. Then I've got Janelt, Smith Rowe, and Mbeumo, all with kind of tricky fixtures. Tottenham away for the Brentford pair and United away for Smith Rowe. I feel like I should just play Smith Rowe because he's probably the most likely to get an attacking return. United aren't great at the back. But Janelt is so fucking good on Kante points. It's ridiculous. He gets like 5-6 points every week. And then I just think, well, how likely is it that Smith Rowe does better than an assist? Because that's probably what he needs to match him. So, but I don't like benching him, really. But, I've got a bit of a headache. So I'm kind of semi-hoping De Bruyne doesn't play just so I get Smith Rowe off the bench and it kind of makes my mind up for me. I like the midfield, but it is a bit of a headache at the moment. Looking at George's team, I think George's team's gone downhill. I really do. And he's probably going to beat me this week because I'm about to slate his team. But I really think at the start of the season, I said it on the pod quite a few times, I think he's got a good team. But I don't know. Son, he's performing, but not really. Spurs don't look great in attack. Son, I've brought him in an FPL and I fucking wish I hadn't because I don't like owning him. And then Rafinha, okay, brilliant player. Leeds aren't great though, and he's struggled a little bit. His front three of King, St. Max, and Danny Ings, I don't like really. King, okay, he's been in amongst the returns for Watford, but how long are they going to keep scoring 4 goals against in like weird fixtures? They seem to have a lot of like strange games. Ings injury prone, not even sure if he's going to start, even if he's fit. And then you've got St. Max, Newcastle, born and bred. So, a bit of a weird front three. His big hitters aren't really performing. He's got 4 Chelsea defenders and only 1 starts. I think he's turned a good team shit somehow. Does anyone else think that, or am I like talking out my ass here?
Yeah, I agree. You sort of look at it and think, well, as it's showing now, he's going to be amongst the rest of the pack. It's sort of no better or no worse than a lot of other people's teams. Yeah, I don't really know what it is. It's not a bad team, of course, but
no, it's not bad. I just think it's not the team that I thought it was a couple of months ago when I thought he was like pretty much up there with Nath. Okay, next up, Dave is playing Connor. Connor, do you think you're going to beat Dave? Do you think his team's garbage, or do you think you might struggle?
No, I think his team's it's all right. It's not the best team in the league, but.
What do you think about your fixtures this week, Connor? You got your Wolves pair at home to Burnley, not too bad. That one looks okay.
Yeah, Wolves to Burnley's okay. My Liverpool duo at the back to Everton, I think is pretty decent. But then with Richarlison playing against them, it's not ideal. Hudson-Odoi to Watford if he plays. I'm not sure he's been nailed on for the last sort of 5 games, but a few players coming back from injury for Chelsea, so don't know if he plays. Yeah, my fixtures aren't great. They're all right.
No, it's mixed, isn't it? Yeah, I think that's hit or miss game week. I think for you two, I don't see either of you coming away with a massive score, but I think that'll be tight. And Nick versus Brad, love to see a little podcast derby. We'll start with Brad. Do you think you've got good fixtures this week? Like, do you fancy yourself getting a decent score?
There's no real standout fixtures really. It's a bit sort of mixed. I worry a bit about the City rotation. Sterling's obviously finally been starting, but I can't see him starting again midweek, to be honest. Vardy does love a goal against Saints. I hope he doesn't, but we'll see. Spurs at home to Brentford. Could get something there. West Ham at home to Brighton. Brighton have got good defence, but West Ham are good at home. We'll see. I think it'll be a close game.
Yeah, I do too. Nick, how do you fancy your fixtures? You got to think if Mount and Lukaku both start, you're well in.
Yeah. So obviously, got the standout fixture for me is Chelsea away to Watford. Lukaku, Mount, and Mendy. But other than that, I've had to rotate quite a few players out. Drop Trossard because I want to play Zuma at the back. Drop Digne and Decore, obviously, because they're playing Liverpool. Means I've had to bring in Van der Beek. So
that is bold.
Yeah, I know.
That is bold. Connor, just quick, Connor, do you think there's a chance he starts? Do you think he'll start?
I think he will, yeah. Midweek game. We can't start Matic, Fred, and McTominay again. Not against Arsenal, surely.
That is shocking. That is like the most fucking depressing midfield ever. Okay, Nick, I think you got decent fixtures. Yeah, like you say, mix, some good, some bad, but Van der Beek starts. I think that could be decent.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm confident. Wouldn't say I'm lacking faith in my team. So I think it'd be pretty close between me and Bradley.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think that'll be a tight one. Just looking down the rest of the fixtures just quickly, we won't go into too much detail about the rest of them, but there's only one. I've only got my eyes on one for Stinker of the Week this week, without a shadow of a doubt. It's got to be John versus Mac. That is fucking stinky, isn't it? I mean, good God.
It's horrible.
Will they combine for 60 points? That's the question. I can't wait for a game with two teams in the 20s. That's going to be, Stinker Hall of Fame territory. Okay, I think that's just about everything covered. We won't be looking at game week 15 because obviously by the time this game week finishes, that one basically starts. So we'll be back after game week 15, which will be going into forfeit week, actually, won't it? So we'll be 3 out of 4 by then. So we'll have a good idea of who's looking at the forfeit and who's looking at Manager of the Month by then. So thank you 3 for coming on with me. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe, do all that good shit. And yeah, we will see you next week. See you later.
How the hell is John Bird?
Don't talk to me. Did you see that thing I sent in earlier about our game week scores?
Yes.
Yeah.
I lined our game week scores up side by side for the whole season. He's outscored me 1 week out of 12. How fucking ridiculous is that? And he is 3rd and I'm 11th.
He has a knack of doing it though, doesn't he?
He's fucking jammy every year. I just don't get it. I really don't get it. Right,
Team's
I'm gonna have to go.
Not good either.
Yeah.
No, his team is so fucking bad. I don't understand. He's so jammy.
It's awful.
Yeah, it's just awful. Right, see you later, boys.
Bedtime. All right, bravo.
See you now. Good day.